Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining the Think Realty podcast today, whether you're viewing or you're listening. We're so glad you decided to join us. As always, we're going to bring you a great guest today. But before we jump into the guest, I want to say a quick thank you to our podcast sponsor. Our podcast sponsor is House Folios. House Folios sources. They also help you with analysis and transaction management, rehab budget tracking, asset management, disposition. It's a software that helps single-family real estate managers and buyers and investors that helps you grow and manage your whole single-family investment portfolio from one simple-to-use software. Visit Housefolios, that's with an F, housefolios.com to get started. My guest today is one of my favorite topics in real estate because I think if you're missing out on this activity in real estate, you're missing a large portion of the benefits of being a real estate investor. My guest today is Amanda Holbrook, and she is from Specialized Trust Company. Thank you so much for joining us, Amanda.
Oh, thank you so much for having us on. We appreciate it. Yes, and this is a super hot topic right now.
Absolutely.
So tune in and get your focus on.
There you go. I like it. I like it. If you don't mind, we've talked about self-direction and self-directing your retirement funds and accounts for years. But if you don't mind, just give us a quick overview of what Specialized does, and then we'll jump into how to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for that. So Specialized Trust, we're a passive custodian. So a lot of folks say, well, what does that mean? That means we allow you to invest in things outside of what the big banks give you. They'll give you this little sandbox of toys called stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and say, okay, you get to pick them yourself. But that's not self-direction, guys. Let's just be clear. PSA, true self-direction allows you to take those IRAs, 401ks, et cetera, and invest in non-traditional investments such as real estate, whether that be rental properties, private lending, commercial, tax liens, et cetera. So that's what we do here at Specialized Trust. We empower our clients through education on not only how to use these tools for themselves, but their families and their businesses, and set up that right mix so that they can not only have, reducing their tax liability, but more, as we like to say, tax-free profits. Say that with a smile like that. You can't say tax-free without that big old smile.
Without
Go ahead,
smiling.
I challenge you where you're listening. Say it out loud.
I like it. I like it. And honestly, it makes me happy because I've lived inside of what you're talking about now for quite a few years. And I love that right now the stock market has been very volatile. And so all these stock market investors, the ones that are putting a ton of money into the market, that their capital's not in tangible assets, they're feeling the pinch of exactly what you just spoke about. And so you spoke about investing in real estate. You spoke about lending. You spoke about various other things. I also use it to buy passive businesses. You can actually purchase businesses as long as it's not a prohibited transaction. You keep it arm's length. You're not actually managing it. All that good stuff. But I love the vehicle because all the capital that comes back in is tax-free with a smile, right? And so what are some of the things that you are seeing as far as current trends or things that are happening in the real estate market? I know before we jumped on here, you talked about kind of that buzzword recession-proofing your investments. Talk to me just a little bit about what are some of the trends that you're seeing today.
Yeah, so the trends we're seeing, is turn on your news source, right? You're hearing inflation, you're seeing the roller coaster of the stock market, right? The conversations that I'm having on a day-to-day basis are, we've taken a hit, Amanda, or the account is down, 50 or X number K, because of the market. So there's a lot of fear happening out there. And why there is fear is because there's lack of control. So when you hear me say recession proof, it's almost become like a buzzword. I believe it's trending, and I'm not that marketing person. Let me just be clear there. But the conversations are, what do I do? When you're going to a professional, which is your typical advisor, the advice that I'm hearing that's being given is weather the storm. And it's like, that is not sound financial advice. That's like sit and wait and see what happens. No, that's your money, take control. So when I say recession proof, that's taking action, looking at diversifying your portfolio and knowing what opportunities are out there. So incomes, real estate. Real estate has been a tried and true throughout the times, throughout history, a recession proof asset because it is atangible. It will never be a zeroed asset. When we're talking rental properties, they not only cash flow, but they appreciate. So if you're using your SMART acronym, it's growing two ways. And the other piece is it's insured. So when you're doing it in a tax sheltered account, and heaven forbid something happens, that insurance goes to that tax sheltered account. And all and behold, your exit strategy, if you ever sell, is, tax-free profits with zero capital gains. I mean, that's a huge benefit. So when you're asking what we're seeing in like market trends, and I'm sure I'd love to get your opinion here too, because you've got your finger on the pulse as well as we do, is we're seeing in droves folks that are moving their accounts over that don't always have a plan. And that's usually not the case. Mm-hmm. Usually it's a time of urgency, either like, oh my gosh, Amanda, I've got a huge tax bill given to me by my CPA. I have a deal. Those are really the main two, like we'll say urgency to action steps. Well, now you're seeing, I'm kind of coining it the self-directed tsunami, if you will, because folks are moving their funds over knowing they have to do something, but they're not quite sure. And the door that I'm finding they're knocking on is real estate, to your point. Whether that's private lending as well as acquisitions for rentals is what I'm seeing a lot of as far as what clients are researching and looking to put their self-directed funds in to get that recession-proof result, if you will.
Yeah. We're seeing the same thing. I mean, our Think Realty base, a lot of them have tiptoed in the water for the past maybe 5-10 years. And then we're seeing a graduation from a majority of their investment or retirement capital sitting inside of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and moving over to these tangible hard assets like real estate. And obviously the vehicle to do that best in is through a self-directed vehicle, right? I mean, you can kind of go the REIT model and try to invest that way. But to have more control and have the appreciable asset inside of your portfolio is a huge deal. We've been talking about this for so long. We started Think Realty in 2013, so we're coming up on 10 years. And thank you. And we've been talking about this from day one because this is a strategy I learned 18, 19 years ago as I've been investing for about that long. And so I love that. Let's talk just a minute about lending. I know that there are some real estate investors that are very active and they're looking for capital. And today, capital is very constrained. It's hard. The underwriting guidelines are getting more difficult. The interest rates are rising. Are you seeing an uptick in people that are self-directing but actually lending towards active real estate investors to help them? Are you seeing kind of a surge in that at all?
Yes, absolutely. And it was actually at your conference that we were hearing all of this from, the large capital providers. We were seeing kind of the writing on the wall, and here we are where the feds are upping interest rates again. So it's getting harder for investors. So I want you guys to listen and listen clearly. If you are looking for capital for your deals, there is over 37 trillion with a T, trillion dollars in retirement accounts. Okay. If you can tap into any piece of that to fund your acquisition funnel and to fund your deals, you are going to be in a winning position, because you are controlling that funding piece. So where does one find that? And I get this question all the time, which I'm sure has been asked a million times over, how do we get in front of self-directed IRA holders? And it's not even the fact of getting into, self-directed IRA holders. It's passing along that knowledge that this is possible. Your average person does not know they can take that old 401k, that old IRA, et cetera,
Yeah.
move it over. So it's just a matter of bringing that valuable little knowledge nugget, present to them, and to know that, oh, well, how is that done? If you're raising private money out there, I don't expect you to talk about any of the technical stuff that we've talked about yet today. I want you to talk about yourself and your business and why working with you makes sense. And know that you have a partner like us here at Specialized on the back end that will take care of you, unlock those funds in 2 weeks or less, and you're ready to do a deal. But not only are we helping with that, but we're helping educate and walk through that process in a very efficient, comforting manner for the investor.
Yeah.
So what's that cliche saying? Your network is your net what?
Work.
Your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That saying, and I sound like a cliche Dr. Seuss mother. I kind of am, but that is so true, you guys. Where do you find those? Start asking your network, using social media, LinkedIn. I'll give you guys, can I give a challenge out to those listeners that are looking to raise capital? This is always a fun one. I want you to go on your social media and throw a post out there. You can do it as a question, a poll. Like I said, I'm not the marketing person, but put out there and say, how satisfied are you with your retirement portfolio performance today? Question mark. No additional words. And here's what's going to happen. No one's going to reply to you and say, oh, I'm a smitten kitten and I'm 100% satisfied. You're going to have a lot of folks voicing their opinion, right? That's what social media is meant for. Do you know what that list is?
Prospects.
Those are your future private lenders. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so good. I love lending out of my IRA because I love those quicker returns, and I don't have to do due diligence on buying an asset. I love the hard assets as well. I love turnkey providers that provide those assets. I like all of that. But I like lending because I really, the capital gains issue that's created if you lend outside of your IRA is completely cleaned up inside of your IRA, right? And so it's just turning that money over and over and over and over again with big hits. And typically the loans that I'm extending are less than a year long. And so it puts that capital right back into your account that allows you to not miss out on additional deals. And so, especially in markets like this where, there's a lot of movement, it gives me quicker access to that capital by lending a portion of it. So it's interesting because I've diversified, and I have my retirement accounts, but then I also have diversified inside of my retirement accounts because I want some multifamily, some funds. I do put some money into real estate funds that are just long-term consistent yield. And then I also do the lending as well. And so I've kind of got, diversification even inside of my self-directed account.
Yeah, and private lending, like what I find for, you're seeing a lot of your members, since you've been around since 2013, awesome job, but they've been kind of doing that quote unquote, side hustle, and they're giving it more focus. And those that are just learning about it, I find this is the more passive route. And when we say passive, guys, we're talking about the time that you have to invest, because you have to break out, your week in time currency. We all have, some have 9 to 5s, some are full-time entrepreneurs, you do have to sleep, some have children, we fit it all in, right? The days are long, but the years are short. So what private lending allows you to do, especially for those that are thinking of getting into real estate, kind of my HGTV fans out there, private lending is a phenomenal way to dip your toe in the pool without swinging that hammer and taking on all that liability.
Yeah.
And I like to say, earn while you learn, if that is a trajectory that you want to go down, but yes, I'm a huge fan. I'll tell you what else I'm a huge fan of. Do you have kids?
I do. I have 3 boys.
3 boys? Okay. So what we teach our clients a lot is I'm a huge fan of Roths for kids. For those of you that are listening, yes, kids can have Roth IRAs, and I'll explain how, but they grow tax-free forever, but you can only put $6,000 a year in a Roth IRA. Mm-hmm. So if someone's borrowing 50, or 100, how does one grow 6? You can partner your family IRAs together on deals so that everybody's growing tax-free at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just creative deal structure, and this is why I love working with folks that have, just like you, that have been in the industry a while, because you've seen a lot, right? And a lot of the fun stuff, and maybe I'm showing my nerd flag here, but it comes with creative deal structure. It's very exciting. It's never just one account or one asset, it's a big picture. The key is you got to start with one, right? You got to get started. Anyway, I'm going to get off that soapbox.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. You've been a wealth of knowledge, and I know our time's already cut short, but I appreciate your time on the call. The great part about your Zoom kind of experience here is I already see it's Specialized Trust Company. I always have to say, how do they get a hold of you? It's right there on the screen. You can see it. You can go to A. Holbrook at irastc.com. Or just hit the QR code like she has there, and you can connect with her. Thank you so much for being our guest today. Thank you for being a sponsor of our events and always providing so many great things for our real estate investors. I appreciate it.
No, right back at you. And thank you all for listening as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Amanda. I want to say a quick thank you to our podcast sponsor. Our podcast sponsor is House Folios. House Folios sources. They also help you with analysis and transaction management, rehab budget tracking, asset management, disposition. It's a software that helps single-family real estate managers and buyers and investors that helps you grow and manage your whole single-family investment portfolio from one simple-to-use software. Visit Housefolios, that's with an F, housefolios.com to get started. All right, if you haven't started making plans for 2023, it's time. The Think Realty Conference and Expo in Houston takes place March 23rd and 24th. Set your sights on making 2023 a success. And for a limited time, you can get a buy one, get one deal on tickets. Register for 2 tickets and enter the code PODCAST. That's all capital PODCAST. And check out this to receive a special pricing. You'll get a buy one, get one free at thinkrealty.com/Houston. You can get more information, and we want you to make plans to be with us in the first quarter. Thank you so much, Think Realty viewer and listener, for being a part of the podcast today. I hope that Amanda was helpful to you. If there's ever anything we can do, please let us know. Stay engaged on social. We're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and everywhere else that social media is. We want to be there having a conversation with you. Have a great day, and happy investing.